Hi everybody and welcome back to the next Civ Spotlight. And this one is going to be very interesting. Let me quickly check if I'm recording. I thought I just checked that. Yeah, nice. It's looking good. Um, Next Civ is going to be Sicilians, and for this I will have to read through the patch notes because they have recently been changed. And as you can see, it's quite a bit of changes. Castles and town centers build 100% faster, change to build 50% faster. Alright. Farm upgrade bonus increased. Oh, I didn't even know they get one. Let me take a look at the tech tree. Sicilians. Where are they? There they are. Nice. Farm upgrades provide plus 125% additional food. Okay, that's pretty huge actually. If that's become even more right now, that's okay. I got it. It used to be 100% more. Now that's even more. Um, that's quite a funny thing. I recently watched Harrow's video of skipping horse color or getting horse color, and I really feel. I mean, I understand the logic behind skipping horse color, but it felt to me, or my eco felt very weak when I didn't have horse color. In early Castle Age, that actually led to me not being able to make the town centers that I wanted to make or the additional production buildings. So I think that I do want to get into the habit of actually researching horse color when I'm doing a scouts build. And especially with Sicilians now, it seems like inevitable to do it because it's just amazing. Dungeon affected by hoardings. Okay, I think that's not too relevant for me right now. Dungeon can now train spearman line. Yeah, and that's why I think build orders have been quite heavily adjusted with Sicilians to do a kind of dungeon defense, dungeon rush. I don't know if I want to go down that road, to be honest. Because I want to learn how to play standard and not do these overly specialized, optimized builds for any Civ, for every Civ. Let's see if that makes sense to me if I go through the tech tree. First Crusade effect reduced from 75 surgeons per town center. Okay, still a very good tech in late game, I think, to temporarily boost above 200 pop. First Crusade cost adjusted. Also, I think not too relevant for me here. Sergeant HP increased. Oh, that means they're just better now. Sergeant Elite upgrade. Also just cheaper. Sergeant build replace. Yeah. Receive gambesons. Okay, that's also a good thing to know. And the 100 starting stone they get additionally. Okay, that's actually crazy because they can make donjons and still make another town center, right? If they start with plus 100 stone, yeah, that makes sense. They can build a dungeon, and then they can still make a town center. That's interesting. And the farm upgrades. But to me, it actually reads as if it makes much sense to boom it out with this Civ. I just have a feeling, but I don't know how that plays out. Infantry Sergeant. Hauberg Knights. The increased armor is amazing on them. The First Crusade. Alright. I think I'm going to need to take a look at the tech tree and see how they can play throughout the ages. First of all, the land military units that receive less bonus damage is makes it very hard for the enemy to play counter units. Like if I'm playing archers, I'm not too afraid of skirmishers. If I'm playing my knights, I'm not too afraid of pikes. And that's cool because I definitely have a good time if I force my enemy into trash units because they simply perform worse against my gold units. That makes me kind of think I should be either going for archers or scouts, like heavy archers or heavy scouts in Feudal Age, to force my enemy into exactly these um, counter units, which then on the other hand are less effective. So I'm right off the bat thinking if I'm opening men-at-arms, it's not a good idea because I force my enemy into archers. If I'm opening 2 range archers, for example, that's amazing because I force my enemy into skirms, and then my enemies will have a hard time. I can also get fancy with the dungeon stuff and that, but I think I don't want to do that because I first of all want to learn how to play standard before I touch on these really complex things. Or if I just get an extensive scout war going with loads of scouts, which I can then later upgrade to light cavalry, forcing my enemy into lots of spears. If I get the blacksmith upgrades, that also makes me think like, yeah, if I get horse color early and I have a lot more food on my farms, I can afford to make a lot of cavalry, probably even going double stable at some point. Something like that. This is what comes to mind for the early game. So that either means going straight to range archers, which I don't know if that's a good thing. Maybe men at arms into 2 range archers, something like that. Or just a lot of scouts, like a heavy scouts build. I think I can make a heavy scouts build work with Sicilians. And yeah, then transition into a knight play, which is especially good versus archers. Let me see if Halberg is available in Castle Age. No, it's First Crusade in Castle Age. And Halberg only in Imperial Age. But I think if I'm playing versus an archer civ, I will try to eventually pick up Halberg and play towards that as my main unit. Like Halberg Cavalier should be in theory amazing versus archers. And versus Cav civs, I think at some point I'm going to need to switch into Halberdier. Because if my enemy simply has better Cavalier or even Paladin, that's gonna make life hard for me. But I'm not missing any upgrades, right? So if I get Halberg Cavalier, I think that is kind of a very strong Cavalier unit. Interesting. Yeah, so I think overall, boom and stable play should be nice. And First Crusade or Gambits and Champions or whatever comes to mind could then become very useful if my enemy is heavy on pikes. But on the other hand, if my enemy is heavy on pikes, that actually plays a lot into my bonus, and I might just try to overpower it. But yeah, let's see how that works out. That's kind of my idea towards Sicilians right now. So ideally, I think I'm going to go for a scout rush, try to get horse color in, and then try to make a lot of scouts, a lot of farms, and try to capitalize on these bonuses, and then actually get a very smooth boom going after I extended the feudal age and forced my enemy into counter units. That's kind of my initial plan here. Yeah, so let's jump on the ladder and see how that goes.